Recording in progress.
Jump inside the sub
and buckle on in.
Open your mind,
because it's time to dive into
1.
the deep end.
The deep end.
Welcome to the deep end.
The deep end.
The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
Deep man.
Too deep, brah.
Welcome, episode 13. I don't know
Lucky
why.
13.
Why do I have to sing all of the I know I sing way too much for someone who has a really shitty voice.
I know.
There's that meme. It was like being someone who loves singing and having a shitty voice is probably the saddest part of my life.
I noticed that I talk methodically or kind of singy, especially when I'm by myself. I did the video for the fabric store yesterday, and I'm watching it back because I did it live, and I'm watching it back, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, that's weird.
Stop by Monday through Friday, I don't know.
I know, right?
I think I do it to buy
50s.
myself time to think. I do it. I don't know. I think it helps me keep flowing.
Oh yeah,
so that
I had a teacher in college. She used to, whenever she would lecture and then go to switch the slide or whatever, she'd be like, "Oh," and I catch myself doing that sometimes. I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Today we decided that we would share with you some samples of what it's like to get a chart reading from Stephanie.
Yes. However, I will preface by saying my chart readings are a little more structured. Her and I like to go on tangents, this tangent adventure. That's what we should name our submarine, is the tangent.
I will say, disclaimer, I dropped this on her in the moment of recording the session. So
we were talking for an hour. Yeah, we were talking for an hour and a half about nothing. None of that's usable. But yeah, she decided, hey, let's do a chart reading. And you know what? Let's do a chart reading.
Well, our conversation was already kind of headed in that direction, and it just felt like the energy of what the episode wanted to be.
Exactly, because we're going to go over this Chiron retrograde briefly. I didn't even go over that very well. I'm sorry. But we're going to go over it briefly. And then it kind of went into your chart reading, which, by the way, there was other aspects in your chart I wanted to go over, but we just went off on all those tangents about. But it was cool because I guess we could kind of relate it to where you could find your life purpose astrologically, because I can pinpoint a lot of her stuff with these placements that she's interested in. So if you're ever confused about where to go next, or, or just want to know your karmic, because I have a karmic report, I go over your nodal placements and what your destiny and all this shit that you should, go for. Just go to www.mutablemystic.com. Purchase, your report. Although if you want to because I have other stuff that's not listed on my website, so you can always shoot me a message or, find me on Facebook, Mutable Mystic, or even Stephanie Magdill, and just shoot me a message. We could talk, and I'll find something that'll meet your needs.
Yeah, her reports usually include a lot more information than what you're going to hear in the podcast session today. But just to give you a sample of the kind of information that you find out, and it kind of just helps explain a lot of aspects of your life and personality. And it's really interesting. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I
highly recommend it.
I really love doing these readings for people because it's really cool to kind of see what each soul comes here to do, because they're, studying my chart over the years, obviously it's really cool understanding myself more on a deeper level. But doing these chart readings, I can help others understand themselves, but I can understand the world around me better too. Everybody's here for different reasons. And you can discover their strengths and weaknesses, offer, because the last chart I read, her chart was just shoved, cram-packed of deep trauma needing to come out, as well as the fact that she would make a really good therapist that way, and so it's really fun helping people find that in themselves. It's empowering to know yourself.
Totally.
So yeah.
I kind of feel the same way with the past life regression. It's a different way of understanding the soul's purposes and visions. And it feels so good to help people connect dots and make realizations about themselves that just make so much sense and help them understand themselves and the world around them a little bit better.
Oh yeah, it does. It's
It's
like,
very rewarding.
because that's why the powers that be, like that's why you don't have like astrology taught to the masses because it would empower them too much, you know?
Right.
So,
And it is actually incredibly powerful, listening to the Nostradamus books. Nostradamus literally had Dolores Cannon go out and find a professional astrologer
no way.
because, yeah, because it was important that they understand the dynamics and the influences of the different eras of, the ages, and like
Wow.
the age of Aquarius and all this stuff. So he said, she goes, I don't know where I would find a professional astrologer. And he goes, don't worry, you'll find what you need. And then the next week she's at a UFO conference and this random dude shows up and he's a professional astrologer and doesn't even know why he's there. He's like, I don't even know why I came. I just had this feeling like I needed to come here today.
It's because you were sent by Nostradamus. God damn it. That's so fucking
And then
cool.
they worked together like for 20 years or like for a long ass time because she
Well,
referred to him.
shit. Now we should, yeah, because if we should use my astrology knowledge the same way as we get deeper into our channeling shit, dude, that would be
Right.
fucking cool.
It's time for a vibe check.
Vibe check. It's a vibe. Vibes all day.
I'm digging your vibe, baby.
We're each going to pull some oracle cards to read what is the vibe of the week.
Hell yeah, let's see what the current energetic vortex has for us today.
I got adventure. Dare to do things differently. Manifest your travel dreams. Move to a new location. That's interesting. That like goes right with it.
Well, this goes with the pilgrim. So I think I'm just going to do the pilgrim because I drew two cards, but they're both like so good. Okay. So the pilgrim is the wanderer, the traveler, the apprentice. For the pilgrim, an outward journey is always an inward journey. This archetypal wanderer seeks wisdom, experience, and meaning in the farthest reaches of the globe and the deepest regions of the spirit. Others will wonder when the pilgrim will settle down and claim a more conventional life. But the pilgrim knows that the heart belongs in motion. Where there is motion, there is freedom, expansion, and growth. Responsibilities, social conventions, and logistics lull us to sleep, and soon the pilgrim becomes veiled in the slumber of the day-to-day. Yet when this archetype awakens, it rallies our sense of adventure and leads us out the door toward a new reality. With the pilgrim at your side, you will never lack courage, nor do you need every amenity. Travel light, travel soon. Your spirit needs it. Okay, universe, like I'm about to turn 40 and I would love to go to Hawaii. So can we make that happen?
I know. I've been dying to travel. It used to be a massive, huge part of my life. And
Oh yeah.
since our honeymoon, we haven't left the country. I used to try to leave the country at least once a year, if not more.
Well, at least you got a fucking honeymoon. I didn't get one of those. But yeah, I don't know. The same like that. That's why like sometimes when we go to San Francisco, it kind of scratches that itch a little because you do have to travel to get there. It's a 5-hour drive, but like, yeah, that kind of scratches that itch. But then after being in the city and trying to drive around that fucking city, I'm like, I can't wait to go back to Humboldt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's just pretty crazy. But then I kind of had a light bulb go off because it sucks to not be able to do the work if nobody books you. But I like the work and I like helping people. And so I have a few people that I have set up to continue to work with free, people that had I felt they were good channels their first time around, kind of a thing. Just to continue to do it because I don't want to get rusty and I want to continue my learning and helping other people. It makes me feel good. But in the custodians right now, which is interesting, divine timing, because this came along right around the time I've been thinking about this. But Dolores says she never charged for a single session ever in her entire career.
Wow.
That her entire career was based on research. And so if someone wanted a session, she did her best to make it happen. All that was required is that people expressed an interest and that she had, depending on what they were doing, she wanted to talk to them and make sure that, they were in it for the right reasons. But that's how she found her really powerful channels like the Nostradamus channel or the channels that connected her directly with the aliens and things like that. But she said,
I told you in the first fucking session that you had a Dolores Cannon like career ahead of you. And I thought it was the geekiest thing to say. I thought it was so fucking geeky, but it's so true. Like it really is unfolding that way. It's so funny to me.
Well, I've been
Sorry,
thinking
go
about
on.
that. No. I mean, I've been considering like, should I even be charging for this? Maybe I should just
Maybe
continue
not.
doing
Yeah.
it, just for the sake of helping people
Well,
because
because the universe took care of her in other ways,
right,
and her
right.
career fucking exploded. And she could
Yeah.
have started charging too, and she didn't. She chose not to because it was about the work.
Right. And
Like,
what she charges for is her school and her training and her books.
yeah, that's
And
cool.
she
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
paid in other ways. But her actual research and past life regressions and stuff is, I mean, according to this book right now, says that she never once charged for a session, and which is interesting because I had been thinking about doing that, to try
There's your
to.
confirmation.
So, yeah, I don't
You know
know.
what?
Then it
That's
feels bad for the people that have paid, but I can just do
man.
more with them anyways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I think that's really cool.
maybe I've been being told this for a while because I feel like I maybe told you about this, but the Bashar videos where he talks about how when you are depending on the money, when you need money from something to survive, then it changes the dynamic of it and makes it so it like takes a lot of the energy and the power away from it.
I just remember my art really blew up and like I started, people wanted to buy it. I was like, okay, sure, here's, and yeah. And then I started trying to be what I thought they wanted to sell paintings, and it changed everything. And it started not being fun. And I started trying to find your voice, so to speak. Like when I was working with music, I didn't know what my style was. And so I never knew the type of music to make. And like the same with painting, it's like, I don't know what kind of an artist I am. So I don't know how to start each painting. I don't know if I should use a palette knife or if I should use this brush or start with this, it's like, and then I started to find my voice, so to speak, and found my style and I stopped trying to sell my paintings. I was like, fuck all that noise.
Yeah.
Like money changed, like I fucking hate it. Like money changes everything and I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. I can't wait until money is out of our culture. Like I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Because it just sucks the passion out of everything.
When we started the quilt shop and I attempted to have our quilt shop in the mall during like a holiday season, and people would come in and pick out fabric and we would make custom stuff for people. And I sold tons of aprons and pillowcases. And then I even had somebody order like a weed quilt from me, which I was like so excited.
I would
And I
love one of
fucking
those.
hated making it.
Really?
It took all the joy. I don't know, something
Yeah.
about the fact that I had to do it.
Yeah.
And it was so weird to me. And I remember that was like the first time where I really had the realization of, man, the second I have to do something because I'm getting paid for it, it changes, like I lose all the joy in it. And so people like oftentimes like my friend that I took the baby quilts to the other day was asking like how much I charge to make a baby quilt. And I'm like, I don't, because it like I have to make them out of like love and like because I want to. And I just make them for people that I want to give them to, because the second have to get paid for it, I don't know. It's so crazy.
I have to see where your Venus is. Sorry, this is what I do when people speak. I see astrology placements in my head. It's like that fucking meme with Zach Galifianakis, and it's like all those like he like is thinking really intensely, and all those equations are going on in his head.
Oh yeah,
that's me. That's me when people talk with
placements.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah, girl! You have the same as me. You have a fucking Venus and Capricorn in the 8th house. That's really fucking cool. That brings luck to your partner's financial endeavors, especially when Venus goes through cardinal signs. Like I remember in 2023, there was a Moon Venus Jupiter conjunction in Aries, and that's my stellium, Moon Venus Jupiter. And when that happened, fucking Alan, he made so much fucking money that month doing his little brokering, and yeah, it was great. I love when fucking shit transits cardinal signs, because like any of them, the Venus and Jupiter, obviously the moon, the moon transits all the time. It's very fast moving. But like Venus and Jupiter, when they all line up together, because your combination is Mercury and Venus. And so whenever hey, your Mercury's at the same degree as mine, only it's a different sign. That's funny. That's really funny because it's an Aries degree, and it's like, I don't know. I think that's why our conversation flows. Even though you're a Capricorn and I'm a Sagittarius Mercury, it still flows because it's the same degree, it's the same energy of that expression. And plus I have my moon and Mercury conjunctions. Those are really good conjunctions. It's like your mind and my emotional state, like it's a constant flow of good energy. Because that explains our telepathic connection with each other, because it's in the 8th house and it's a deep house. That's the house of your fears, your trauma. Like that's why your work that you do is completely, yeah. Although you have your South Node right there. That's like from a past life.
What is?
All this 8th house energy, it's like your past lives and stuff. It's in Capricorn. And it's funny because your North Node is in the 2nd house of your finances, because the South Node is in the house of shared finances, like with money or with marriage or a business partnership. But in fact, okay, nothing. Oh, interesting. Saturn is squaring it. So that is likely a father from a past life. In the house. Yeah, because like, okay, people who come into this life with 5th house Saturn, like oh my God, you have fucking Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in your 5th house. Like, hello, that explains a lot about. It's a dark childhood. Well, not like a dark childhood is like 4th house Pluto. But I have a 5th house Pluto. That's like also extremely creative. That's really a cool placement. But or like your creativity like changes you and it transforms you. Like art is like a very serious thing for you. I mean, hello. But I think it's funny that Pluto and Saturn are squaring the nodes. Yeah, so like Saturn and hard aspect is basically there's like no money in the bank, the ship is sinking, and there's 200 miles, we're 200 miles from the shore. We're freezing in the bitter cold. There's no food. The general.
That's how it feels right now.
Yeah. It's like the general is insane, but we'll be shot if we disobey. Let's see. Throughout history.
Is that just like the whole theme of like my whole life, or?
Yeah, this is because you have this aspect. It's in hard aspect to your South Node. So this is like what it was in a past life, what it could have been.
Saying that I have that influence in this current incarnation, or that was what was describing the past incarnation?
Well, it's in your natal chart, but when it's making an aspect to your South Node, that's how you can like unlock the story. But like we've already unlocked your stories, so like
right.
I'm going through my chart, and I can point out the placements that are illustrated with my. Yeah, because like my South Node's in Scorpio, so of course all of this sexual trauma is coming out, Yeah, because I can pinpoint aspects, because I have Saturn conjuncting my South Node, and but although that's what they said, if something's conjuncting, then you were the person. So maybe there was a life where I was the one who restricted somebody. But I don't know. I read in here though that if you have Saturn conjunct South Node, then that means that you were like locked up. And that's where I was like, that's the boy in the attic, But I don't know where the fuck I was going with all that. I was like reading this girl's chart, and I wanted to read your South Node stuff because I wanted to see if we could pick out your lives. that's the thing is if you work with your nodal axis, like you'll be just fine in life. Like you want to see where it's transiting to see the focus that you need to focus that energy on. You come in to heal the energy of that south node. Like that's what you're bringing in because it's enough that it traumatized you enough to build a whole fucking chart and a life cycle around it. Because until you deal with it, these cycles will keep repeating for you. You're sitting in front of a revolving wheel that keeps slapping you in the face. You know what I mean? And until you like recognize that you're being slapped in the face cyclically and then decide to move out of the way, then you know what I mean? It's like you're just going to keep getting slapped in the face, you know? And so it's always good to work with that energy. So like now going through all these past lives and asking like, why am I so angry? Where am I why am I fearful? Like I have other questions like, why am I this? And like, what's the, you know, it's because like asking these questions and going through all of this, it's the whole point. Because it's like you came in with like a file folder of lives that you wanted to go through. And boom, these are the ones, you know, that are the things that are holding you back, you know, because I was thinking about that, like why, like, because there's some lives that you had that are coming up and there's lives that I had, you know, because like I'm trying to work through my anger and you started to work through why you're so blocked, you know, because it's like, it's funny because it's like we're not going through the same type of trauma, but we're going through, you and I came here to work through trauma. It's just the different types of trauma. You know what I can't explain what I mean very well.
Yeah.
It's like my file folder has these type of lives in it and your file folder has these type of lives. And these are the themes that we're trying to work through. It's like, because in like another life, maybe I worked through these themes, you know, to release that stuff. Or maybe I didn't even work through anything. Maybe I was just came to experience, you know, but like the lives that you want to come and actively work through shit, it's like, okay, here's the theme. This is what I'm going to be doing. And then bam, it's like, that's how your astrology chart gets clicked into place. It's like, well, you could be born in this time period to have the same energy, or you could be born in this time. It's like, you get to choose which, you know, like which era, country, you know.
Oh my God. Oh,
what the fuck?
Travis just walked in the fucking shadows and he's black and there's a black curtain behind him. So he was like a floating red shirt and gray pants. And I turned around. Oh my God.
That is so fucking funny.
I was about to scare you, but I couldn't.
And glowing gold teeth.
Recording, so I was tapping.
Well, so Daisy got out again. Oh my God. I heard the tapping and I thought it was Daisy getting out of the gate. So I'm wondering, after reading that, sorry, can I ask you a question about that real quick?
Yeah.
Does that mean that I'm gonna like be broke my whole life? Because that's what it was like sounding like. But it also, you know,
no, I don't think it means that, because your north node is in a house of money as well. It's your money. It's something that you build for yourself. But also, you also, with Cancer ruling that house, it's like telling you that you need to also find things of value that give you comfort and offer set your soul at ease. It has nothing to do with anything material. It's just something that nurtures your soul. And in a way to do that, like Cancer, it's like you just research the energy of Cancer and do all things that bring you joy that way, you know, because like you have, I have this article open. Let me, so you have your moon in the 11th house. And so it's like, because Cancer rules the moon. And so it's like working with the collective, like working with people, nurturing. And it's kind of cool because your moon is in a Sagittarius degree. And so it's like, that's an exploring sign. You like to explore, whether it be the mind, whether it be actual out in the world, exploring the wide range of emotions.
I literally have it tattooed on my chest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. I know, that's what I love about is like people's tattoos and like the stuff that they do. It's like, you will never, like, if astrology isn't real, then why do Scorpios get scorpion tattoos? Why why do fucking Leos get lions? You know, like why do I want a fucking black horse tattoo? You know?
My chest, like across it, says explore, dream, discover.
Yeah, see, moon, boom. And it's in a fucking the house of like well, it's not a travel house, but it is the humanity, you know, and it's like so it's like doing like because best way to follow your passion and what brings you joy is to follow your north node and the sign of like well, the sign and the house, you know, like it's just, you know, like that's a sentimental sign. And where Cancer rules is like that's where you're sentimental about whatever. Like I get sentimental about stuff because it rules the stuff. That's what the second house rules. So it's like if somebody gives me something that instantly turns into like gold to me. It's like my favorite thing and I treat it better than the shit I buy. And like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Interesting.
you also have Cancer ruling that house too. And you know, that's funny. Your node is at almost the same degree as the client I read just the other day. She has 22-degree north node, and that's a Capricorn degree. So it's like you feel grounded. Like in order to feel grounded, you need to find things that make you feel safe and nurtured and like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because second house is a house of security, you know, because my client, hers is in Pisces, her north node is in Pisces. So I told her, you know, find things that help you feel grounded spiritually because Pisces is a spiritual sign or they rule spirituality, you know, along with Sagittarius because they both are co-ruled by Jupiter. So that's Jupiter is the spiritual planet, you know. Anyway, I'm going to go to this article. I don't know why this article is talking about Eris. But because it's talking about how there's this retrograde going on in from July 26th to December 29th in the sign of Aries. And it spends about 5 months out of the year in retrograde. So this is just a natural cycle for this asteroid. Okay, so I guess it's involving Eris. Eris is another asteroid. Okay, so these asteroids are very important. Eris is an asteroid. She's known as the goddess of discord and strife. She highlights the discord in our lives so that we can create harmony in that. So Eris is considered the sister to Mars.
You know, you're talking about how we didn't have a lot to use today. I just had a light bulb go off to say, why don't we use this session or this podcast to show people what it's like to get a reading from you?
Oh God.
And you can edit it how you want, you know, like chop certain things out, you know, and stuff like that. But just to like a sample of, you know, then we could use some of it, you know, certain things we could cut out, but then it could be like a way to promote you. Because I actually was in the shower earlier going like, I have no idea what we're talking about. Will you just like guide us? And then I'm like, oh, well, and then I just had a light bulb go off, say, see, this is actually a great content because it's something new and different you guys haven't done yet. And you guys have done samples of my work. So why not do samples of your work?
Okay, let's do it. But I really am going to have to chop this up because I like to sit with the chart and like let it talk to me. But for now, I'm going to talk about this conjunction really quick. So Eris is our feminine warrior and stands up to people in positions of power to make her voice heard. With it going into the energies of the retrograde, the Chiron retrograde, they'll be traveling close together. It's basically gonna shape how we experience both of these retrogrades. Chiron is usually a very healing time, so you could go back through your wounds of the past and find better ways to manage and cope with them. It kind of reminds me of that video you sent me where Bashar's talking about your vibrational rate and like you'll go up and then you'll come back down a little bit and then you'll go up, back, and then come down. But he says when you start to ascend, because there's still that baseline that you're always hitting, you know, when you go up and down, there's still a baseline that never, and so as that baseline keeps rising, you'll not be going further into the lower energies anymore. It's like but you'll keep going higher and higher, and it takes you higher and higher. Like a perfect example, like that shit going on yesterday. It was funny. Like I cried about it. I was really angry at everything, my spirit team, the universe, like all kinds of shit, you know? And I cried about it, and then I let it go. And I, instead of like going and opening a bottle of wine or going and taking a hit of weed and disassociating, I went and started painting, and I channeled all that energy into my painting. And then I made my favorite meal and had some comfort food, you know. And yeah, and I was really proud of myself for because I even sat on my bed and I centered myself. I breathed in deep enough to where I got to the state that my higher self was trying to show me in meditation a few weeks ago. Like, this is how you center yourself. Get to center yourself until you feel this feeling. And I did. I felt that feeling. And then I got some words that came through to me. And I went about my day. I was calm with my girls, my kid, like everybody, you know, and I was still like, I'd have moments where I would get really fucking angry. And then I'd be like, no, we worked through this. We cried about this. It's okay. Now it's time to, you know. And so, yeah. And so it was like, so that's the going back into the low. It's like because it's like, how do I bitch about my problems without manifesting them? You know, it's like, because all the root of all of this is like, okay, now what am I going to fucking do? Like, I got to manifest clients. I got to manifest, you know, my cleaning business. I got to manifest the podcast going, you know, it's like, I need options to get me out of this situation, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, rather than spin out about it and drink about it and do all this stupid shit about it, it's like, I put on Bashar, I started paint. I don't know. I'm just really proud of myself for that. And that's like what he said.
Yeah.
And I literally had just watched that. And like, I was guided to watch it because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to watch that fucking video she sent me. And I watched it and I was like, boom, exactly.
Divine
like,
timing.
yeah.
I kind of like to think about it as like our final exams, you know, like we study and we learn all this stuff and it's like, okay, now time to apply it. Let's see what you do.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay,
yeah.
what are you going to do with it this time around? And we're going to throw you back down into this and see if you've learned, if you really have learned, you know, what are you going to do? It's like, I feel like they're sitting there, you know, with their little spiritual popcorn, like, all right, let's see. How's this going to unfold this time?
Is she gonna do it? Is she gonna do it?
Yeah. That's what it like feels like. That's like a little, you know, a visual in my head.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
But it makes sense. It goes with the whole rubber banding theory. And then you dip back down, apply. Okay, you do good. All right, let's shoot you off higher. All right, now we're going to learn more stuff, dip back down, apply it, did good. Okay, shoot you higher or no. All right, well, we're going to do it again until you learn it, you know.
Exactly. That's the cycle. Exactly. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
'cause that's what this retrograde is. It's like, we're going to dig up all these old wounds and make sure that you're managing and coping with it better, you know?
Yeah.
Because like shit, even my healing journey this year, like going into everything, like, why am I so angry all the time? Why do I have like the fears that I have? What's holding me? Why are these things holding me back? You know, like going to the core of it all and then finding ways to heal. And now it's like, okay, now we're going to throw life at you. Are you still going to be angry? Are you still going to be fearful? Are you still going to be, you know, allowing yourself to be held back? And it's like, yeah. So I think that's going to be the theme coming up for for everybody, but you know, you and I with our work, what we're doing. Yeah. I think that's going to be the theme is like, okay. Cause
I just had something in my head or someone say, well, that's what you guys get for asking if your healing ceremony worked or not.
That's so
I don't know why. Like somebody was laughing at me and said that. Like
that's fucking funny. Because our healing ceremony it was like not what I thought it would be. I like literally brought a roll of toilet paper in there so that I could have it ready for my little, you know, soul crying. And I literally shed not one tear. It was actually a really cool ceremony.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, I was emotional beforehand, but during it, I was like really peaceful looking at the fire and it was just like really beautiful.
Oh yeah, it was really cool. Like the husband in that life conducted the ceremony this time and it was really fun. Like we hung out, he showed me things, he showed me how to push stuff away, showed me my power. And then another being came And it was like, I don't know who the being was, but they were saying that this was that whole life was a soul family, members of a soul family coming together to assist in, because I wanted to learn about fear, and in order to go into stuff like deep lessons, you choose these trauma lives to like learn. Like that's how you really learn, honestly. Like there was this post on Instagram. It's like, let's normalize learning out of love and not trauma. And I'm like, sweetie, that's not how it works. Like, yes, that's a great idea and all, but that's just not how it works. Like
Right.
that's not how it's just not how existence works. I mean, I get the idea of it, but it's, yeah. Anyway, but like the being told me like, this is a soul family coming together to learn a lesson. And like this, like all of that, I don't know. Cause I think that's why when I was shown who the players were, why it came in so strongly and it was so emotional for me. Like it was, I think that because they all supported me in my quest to learn about that. And they also supported me in, okay, once the lesson or the point happened, then we're going to remove because I was even told the energy of that person is not around me. I don't incarnate with them. Like it's like they're literally blocked from me. Because what's funny is I was burning that paper outside and I stood there after it was done and it was just kind of was taking in and I was scared of the shadows of my backyard. I was like, the point is to release this. What the fuck? But I
Right.
like could not wait to go back inside and like I closed my blinds because I'm like, someone's gonna come out of the shadows.
Right.
And that's when I'm like, I don't think I did this right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a hard when you're afraid of that kind of, I'm afraid of the dark too, like and shadows and stuff like
Oh yeah.
that. And it's, sometimes I'm like it's so ridiculous, but like it's so deep in me, especially like
Hmm.
growing up in Orleans and my mom would like make us take the garbage out at nighttime. And I was so sure that some sort of animal or something was going to come out of the shadows and attack me. And I don't know where that's from. It must have
See, it's
happened at
funny
one
that you say
point.
animal because I always think some guy. It's just going to be some creepy guy is going to come and grab me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
And
don't normally assume it's going to be a person. I usually assume it's going to be like a mountain lion or something.
what if you did? What if you were attacked like that in a past
I
life? We should ask. Yeah.
yeah, it's been like a really deeply rooted fear of mine, like my whole life. But I mean, even as a kid, I was always afraid of the dark. Even living in the city, I was afraid of, darkness in my bedrooms and darkness just
Yeah.
anywhere. I had to have a night light on at all
Girl,
times.
I have a killer lighting setup in my room because I need a fucking night light. Like I have a
Yeah.
really cool night light. I've been studying astrology deeply for like 4 years, and I'm like, I need to just take a class. But I am taking an online course, but it's like, am I really learning? Astrology is
See,
so
to me,
fucking in depth.
from my perspective, like just what you've been telling me and reading me just since we just started talking is like a blip of a sample of what you do obviously is a lot more, but just to show people a sample of what like it sounds like, they don't have to do the whole reading necessarily, but just to give people
Oh
an
yeah,
idea.
my full readings are generally like an hour or so because that's
Yeah.
for a regular. Because I like to go over your big three. I like to go over personal planets. Like for a regular chart reading, I go over your personal planets and the houses they're in and what that means, and then I go over your nodal axis and planets squaring those because that's your fate and your destiny.
Oh.
And so I like going into that. So like just a general, you have a Capricorn sun, which is at a Pisces degree. That's really cool. And then you have a Aries moon and a Gemini rising. So that puts your sun in the seventh house. The seventh house is the house of relationships, how you relate to others. Because like with astrology, it's broken up into 12 houses, and each house rules area of life. And since there's 12 houses, that means 6 signs rule an area of life, and then the other 6 signs and houses rule the opposite of that area. So it's like the first house rules the self, whereas the seventh house rules the other. The second house rules you, your values, your money, your like how you make money, how you feel safe and secure in the world, whereas the eighth house rules other people's money, how you come together and share your resources with another. Then like the third house rules the mind, your intellect. It also rules like early childhood, early like schooling and stuff like that, like elementary school through high school. Whereas the opposite house, the ninth house, rules higher learning and higher education and traveling out into the world. And because also third house rules like short travel, like around your neighborhood and shit, and so on and so forth, right? So like the seventh house rules your relationship to the other, whether it be through a marriage, whether it be through a business partnership, but it's usually somebody that you have a partnership with. And because it's not a friend house, that's the 11th house. So that's a whole other thing. So like you have your sun there, and for you, relationships are like the heart of life. And with that being in a Pisces degree, that energy is amplified because Pisces is ruled by Neptune. They're the boundary dissolver. Like they become the mirror. They like completely have it's just a really dreamlike sign. Okay. So it's like you are coming here to kind of find your own identity, while still continually, coming to relate to others. Because that relating process is an important arena for your self-development. It's like, I mean, perhaps you were born under that Pisces degrees to not have boundaries, um, to dissolve that, to be able to go and speak to people and relate to them on a deeper level. Perhaps you were kind of like you were more inhibited in a past life with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then your moon, we have your moon in the 11th house of friendship and community. Let's see, the 11th house is where we find our place within the wider group. Through friendships, social networks of all kinds, stuff like that. The planets that you have here suggest the unique role you play in a member of that team, the cog that your cog in the giant wheel of life, So with the moon here, you might be naturally gregarious, which is not very shocking with having that Aries ruling that house, because Aries is a gregarious sign too.
What does gregarious mean?
Like really loud, joyful, like the life of the party kind of thing. Yeah. You thrive on mutual support. Your role in the group, though, it may revolve around nurturing and protecting. And so that really coincides with that Cancer North Node. The Cancer is the nurturer. So yeah, that's really funny that it said that because and yeah, because like the moon is the nurturer, how you nurture yourself, but here you like to nurture the collective, and it's because you have a lot of placements that center around your past life regression work. It's really cool.
Interesting.
But
yeah, that seems to keep coming up, huh?
It does. The theme of that, it really does. Because that's another cool thing about reading charts for people is I like to sit and look at the chart and just let it talk to me. And there's always a place in the chart or a concentration of energy that's always draws my eye. And then if it doesn't involve the nodes, I will always look to see what they're doing and what's going on, because that will paint a bigger picture of the energy that is going on. It'll paint a bigger picture with that North Node and South Node. Like this chart reading I just finished up, this girl had so much Scorpio energy. And that's, I don't know, like reading about a lot of her placements, and then the fact that she had Pluto squaring her nodes, it was talking about, trauma and like deep, intense therapy to like unlock whatever the fuck is there, And I was like, girl, you would really be interested in the work that I do, like with this other person. Like because she has a lot of, you have a 8th house Mercury, and so did she, or so does she. And that really, like, that's because Mercury rules the mind and how you think and all that, and how you process stuff and whatnot, how you communicate. And with it being in the 8th house, like the 8th house rules your fears and your trauma and like all that kind of shit, along with other stuff. But like, you like to dive into that stuff. Like, it's like the thing with scorpionic energy, because that's the 8th house is a Scorpio house. It just depends on what sign rules the house, in your personal chart. But the thing with scorpionic energy is that's a really cool sign of like you're going through shit. Like that's the friend that will sit and cry with you, and they're not turned away by the deep trauma. Like if you find yourself sinking, like they'll sit there and help you swim. and swim with you. You know what I mean? Like scorpionic energy is the perfect energy to go in because they're not turned away by all that trauma. They like going into the dark and penetrating into the depths, of
Yeah,
all
it's like
that.
something turns, it's like a switch flips on into me, on inside me, and it's like, all right, let's do this, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like me, I mean, shit, I have hella going on in my, yeah, I have the same thing. So I love it. That now we're just going to go over your rising. Like your rising is yourself and your personality. It's like the first impressions that people get off of you. Like, it's your looks. It's also it sets up your life cycle, So it's like when the planets are transiting these signs, that's where the area of life it's affecting for you. So it's like you could have I have a Sagittarius friend, right? And they literally we were born the same year, a week apart. Okay. But he has a completely different rising sign than me. And I don't know what it is, but I'm just assuming because when stuff happens, it happens for me in this area of my life, but it happens for him in a whole ass other area of his life. And so that's the whole point of the cycles and the rising. That's why it's very important when you want your chart read to have the exact birth time. And I'm talking the exact time because
Does it say it on someone's birth certificate what time they're born?
it should. Yeah, it should. It's like, okay, so my daughter that was like my youngest, she was born, I think she was born at 8:03, but they were saying 8:05, maybe 8:08. And I liked 8:08 because that's the police code for disturbing the peace, So I was like, that's like completely perfect for her. So I have her chart set at an 8:08 birth time. Plus 8:08 is drum time. That's what I call 8:08. It's drum time. But like fucking but if you put it at 8:03, her whole ass rising degree changes. Because I liked having her rising sign at 8:08 because it made her rising in a Leo degree along with her Leo rising. But if I changed it just 2 fucking minutes, it changes her degree completely and it changes a degree of something else. So like that kind of shit matters, because let's say you have your moon at 7 degrees Leo and your rising sign is 9 degrees Leo, but oh wait, I got the birth time wrong. So never mind. It puts my degree at 5 degrees Leo. Well, that matters because it either will put your moon in your first house or your 12th house. And that's a very different energy. And so you have to get the exact time.
Because Travis, anybody who would know what time he was born has passed away now. And so, but I was wanting to try to figure out how we would go about finding that out or if it was just like lost knowledge, But I'm wondering if we got out his birth certificate, if it would say his
Yeah,
time.
you could just contact the county he was born in, or is he born here in California?
No, South Carolina.
Oh yeah, just call over there and just like City Hall even. I forget who issues them. But yeah, you could just call and request your birth certificate or his.
Well, I think we have it because we had to get it for him to get a passport.
Okay.
So
I don't know how long
see.
hospitals keep records, but hospital records, like even if they archive them, they could probably, you could even try that route.
Okay,
But
cool.
yeah, so you could
We'll
try
have to
that
look
route.
into that. Yeah.
Because I want to say mine, I think, is on my birth certificate, but I got my actual proper birth time I was scrapbooking and I saw myself in the little baby bassinet in the hospital and I saw that little card. I was like, huh, that's an hour off. And it's changed my chart. At first, I thought I was a Cancer rising, which now knowing astrology, thank God for that. But like, it changed everything in my fucking chart. And I was
Did
like
it make
depressed.
it like fit more or like did it make sense once you did it?
Yeah, eventually, yes. Yeah, because it really
okay.
does. Everything in my chart completely aligns, and I completely, yeah. But at first it really bothered me because Cancer risings are very psychic. And I liked the idea that I was like, I needed something to tell me that I'm psychic, even though I like, hello. I just liked the idea of it and like reading the room and all this shit. But it's like, how much do you actually read the room? Like, I'm too fucking energetic. Like, it takes me a minute because my nervous energy is too strong. And so, yeah, like you're a Gemini rising, sit down. And that's the thing, isn't it? There's no one aspect that says you're psychic. It's like everybody is psychic and everybody is intuitive. It's just a matter of where that comes out, because like with your moon in the 11th house, it's like you have this intuitive pull when you're working with the other. Like your work you do, like you literally hear some of the shit that I hear when we're in channeling sessions. Like that can be explained with that moon right there. And
Oh,
your Mercury in the
okay.
8th house as well. Your Mercury can explain that too. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and I've
Like there's
always kind of
multiple aspects of that.
I had a realization the other day, and and I think it was from working with my grandma that has dementia, that I think I've always communicated telepathically and verbally with people, because even people who are really struggling to verbalize things, I usually I just know what they're saying anyway. And I don't know
Hmm.
if that could be like just, social cues, but I really feel like I have always just communicated and been able to pick up on other people telepathically. I just didn't realize that that's what I was doing.
Oh yeah, because it's definitely because like some of your gifts, like I grew up assuming people do the same thing I do. And it's like,
Right.
and then you grow up and realize that's not it at all. And it's a
Right.
lot of times it's your intuition too that's doing that. So it's like, but yeah, you can explain it like the science behind it is your fucking Mercury in the 8th house, your 11th house moon, your 11th house Chiron retrograde can also explain the fuck out of that.
Because I also have the ability, and I've done this for a long time, where I feel like I can channel people's true intentions. Like
Me
when people
too.
are saying certain things or whatever, or I mean, just any kind of situation, I can go into this. It's really funny because I've always called it a fold in the universe, or fold in the fabric of the universe. And I've always used that as a way to describe it. And then in the custodians right now, the aliens are talking about how they use the folds in the universe, the separate, to create this separate timelines to be able to pull people through, um, to move them from like a building to a ship, and a ship. So they said there's different folds if you have to go through matter or not go through matter. But it's really interesting because I've never heard anyone else use that terminology. And then bam, it comes up right now. And I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. Because that's what it feels like, a fold. But yeah, so I can put myself through this fold and put myself in someone's shoes in a situation and feel how they're feeling about it from their perspective.
That's funny because I can always understand like the energy behind what they're saying. Because when I was reading this other chart, she's Pisces. She had a Pisces rising, and they're the psychic sponges for sure. And you have a Pisces degree to your sun, and it's in the house of the other. So when you're out and working with other people, yeah, that completely explains that. You absorb the energy of them completely. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why the casino is so toxic for me,
Oh my God, I bet. Yeah.
because I would be sitting for 30 minutes at a time with people,
Hmm.
and either just have to, I would try to put protections up, but man, there's only so much like shielding you could do from some people's really, really deep negativity that they bring in there. And then you add in them losing money. And so they're just like black holes of energy,
Oh yeah.
it was like negativeness. And yeah, it just gets really, really exhausting. And on
Yeah.
the flip side of that, it can be also very exhilarating when people are having a blast and things are fun.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, it's very interesting.
I know that's why one reason why I really enjoy working alone, like I like especially cleaning, because you're cleaning up the energy around you, and like it's just
Yeah,
but yeah, like when I used to waitress or like when I used to work with other people, I would get hella frustrated. I mean, it was fun when it was fun. But like
right.
it did, yeah, there were days where it got really frustrating. And like if my energy was off, I would feed on all that energy around me and shit.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
would just make it worse. And
yeah,
yeah, yeah, for real. The 8th house is how you cope with stuff. So it's like not all your troubles can relate to the 8th house, but you could find clues here as to how you react when the pressure's on. So more accurately, perhaps it describes a journey into dark places, whether this is the maelstrom of divorce, financial crisis, or experiences of grief and bereavement. Because that is, divorce is in the eighth house, and because that's contracts, partnership. Well, contracts is the seventh house, but like partnerships coming together, marriage, the sharing of resources, that's eighth house. And Pluto's been retrograding and dredging up shit for people with a lot of Capricorn placements. And mine is in the middle of Capricorn, thank God. But I know people who have it at the end of Capricorn who are going through divorces right now. Like it's dredging over their fucking Venus back and forth like a fucking just,
So where's
fucking.
mine at with that one?
You have Mercury there, so it's going through all things Mercury, like the mind and your thoughts, and you're going through your fears, because it's the mind, so it's going through and completely, because it's the destroyer. Pluto's the destroyer, but he doesn't just destroy. It's what's rebuilt in its place is the beautiful butterfly, or a beautiful garden, and yeah, because it goes through and destroys everything that doesn't fucking work. So if you're hitting brick walls right now, if you're going through a divorce, if you're going through a change of career, if you're going through, because right now it's in a finance house for you, so it's going through shared resources. So it's breaking down every fucking thing that does not work. And I would be willing to bet that when Pluto was exact your Mercury was probably when you left the casino and decided to do this work full time. Because for when Pluto was going over my Venus, my art medium completely changed. I shifted from making music to painting.
And does that explain why all of my art ways, basically right now, all of my ways of making money have come to a complete fucking halt?
Oh yeah, because it's breaking down what isn't fucking working. So maybe
does that mean I shouldn't be doing this anymore?
No, it doesn't mean that. It probably means you shouldn't be charging this idea
I'm just
that
talking
you had.
about so usually between photography, video editing, paint nights, between the three, I usually can support myself. When one ebbs, another flows, and literally I have went for the last month and a half with literally nothing. And I just
this is a slow moving transit. This has been going on for years. I don't think it's just this year. Yeah, this is because I think it's trying to give you better options or showing you a better avenue to take, which you're listening to your gut, you're listening to your intuition. And so it may be clunky right now, but it's a purpose. There's a point, there's a reason, And so it's because Pluto's doing this dredging and this fucking all this shit in my eighth house of shared resources. Granted, it's not going over any planet, but I am going through a divorce. But after this year, Pluto will never be in Capricorn in our lifetime. So it will move on to Aquarius and start fucking us Aquarius like. So that's another thing is it's dredging the shit up so you can find your power in these situations. You could realize that your power lies within yourself. You can start and strike out on your own. You can do this. You could completely change careers and be just fucking fine, if not better. Because Pluto, it will take away everything, leaving you powerless or feeling powerless. But what it gives you in return, it will make you more powerful than when it started with your ass, So
is that the stripping away of the casino and forging through doing this, or is that stripping away this because this isn't working and I need to find a different path?
No, because Pluto, because your Mercury is at 25 degrees, and when it was doing that was when it was when you were leaving, because it's not even at that, it's at 29 degrees right now, and Pluto moves slowly. It'll probably take a couple years to retrograde back to 25 degrees again. I don't think it'll reach that again. So the people that this Pluto is affecting are late degree Capricorns, early degree Aquarius placements. And so, I mean, granted, you'll feel the energy-ish, because it's getting close, but not like when it was originally going over that planet in the first place. So the dredging up was you leaving the casino, not this shit right now. This is just kind of when you shuffle cards and you're just trying to get them back in an orderly fashion again. So it's it shook up everything, and now we're trying to get it back to a manageable what's going to work this time and what we're going to focus on.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
here's a thing in the book. For instance, if you have Mercury in the eighth house, then it might be an adventure to have a guide in the underworld, a counselor, a therapist, friends with good listening skills, or even just keeping a diary or personal record as a way of sorting through and understanding emotional experiences. Ultimately, your birthright, quote, treasure is knowledge. Mercury likes deep things, deep thoughts. It could be both the boon and the reason for entering into troubled waters in the first place. Or with Capricorn on the cusp of the eighth house, which we both have, you no doubt have a stoic approach to hard times with the ability to lay aside your own feelings if someone else really needs your help. The position of the eighth house ruler, Saturn, in your chart gives you clues as to how you can flex this stoicism even further and help you stabilize and feel rooted and secure, which yours is in the fifth house of creativity. So, yeah, I don't know.
that's how I feel rooted and secure is whenever I create.
Yeah,
which
but
is
also
true.
it's also romance too. So it's like when you're relating to your partner and stuff, like that also too can provide stability and stuff. Because the fifth house is like children, it's how you create. Leo rules the fifth house, so it's like where you like to shine. But sorry, back to the Pluto shit, because I thought Mercury was going to explain something, but it didn't. That just explained what it's like having it in the eighth house. But like, yeah, all that dredging up, Pluto already destroyed everything that it wanted to, and now it's rebuilding what's going to work, because Pluto is about to go over your Venus, which is money. And so it could probably, and also when it goes over Venus, it'll probably, your art medium could change even more, because that's what it did for me. It changed my art medium. But yeah, I also, because my moon and Venus are conjunct, meaning they're right next to each other, they're the same degree. That's around the time I had my daughter, because the moon is the mother. So it's not always bad things. It can add things to your life or just change. It doesn't have to destroy in a dark way. It can still destroy things, just move them out of the way. It could do it in a violent way if you're resisting it. Because if you
So when is it supposed to be doing that? Like, can you say it's about to go over that? What is that? How long?
That's your Venus is at the same degree as my Mars. So it'll probably happen in like, a couple years, maybe 5 years at the most. I don't know. I'd have to look. Anyway, for our listeners, like my chart readings are a little more structured than this. Her and I love to go off on our tangents.
This one was totally impromptu at the last moment.
Oh yeah,
which was good for on the fly.
I know it was, because I'm like,
winging it.
What the fuck are we gonna talk about? But no,
it just kind of naturally unfolded too, and I'm like, wait, this is actually usable.
It is, because our first hour, I was like,
so.
well, like our first hour, I'm like, we're just talking about personal shit. I'm like, we've been on the phone forever. We need to find something to talk about. I could also go over just briefly, like because I went over the sun and the moon, and then the rising. Your rising is in Gemini at 27 degrees. So let's see, that's because mine's at 22, which is a Capricorn. So you're also a Gemini degree, because that's a Gemini. That's really cool. So like, with a Gemini rising, Gemini rules communication. And so that makes your chart a Mercury ruled chart. So the expression of your chart ruler comes out in the house that it's in. So yours is the house of shared resources. It's the house of the occult. Like it's ruled, like tarot is ruled there. Diving into your fears, just all things Scorpio, right? So that's how you express that energy. Mine, for instance, is in the seventh house of the other. So I enjoy talking to other people. Like that's how. But see, mine is in its opposite sign, which means it's in detriment. So I basically just talk in riddles the whole time. As you all know, with my fucking tangents. It's really hard. But anyway, so like with the Gemini, it's like you like to have the dialogue and exchange. You may feel like you're two people in one, because it is a dual sign. So it's like sometimes your masculine comes out, sometimes your feminine comes out, sometimes both. And like, Or you could also have a strong influence with your siblings growing up. That could be a prominent thing growing up, but you don't really have anything going on in your third house. So I don't know. Because like, didn't you and your brother just have a normal, like,
We fought when we were younger, but we got a lot closer, like once we got high school age. And we
yeah.
have this really interesting dynamic where it's like in the home, it's us, me versus you. But when we go out into the
Oh
world,
yeah.
then it's us
It's us
versus
versus
them.
everybody. Yeah.
And we even had one of our jokes in high school. We would say to each other when we passed each other in the hallway, we'd be like, "What's up, best foods?" Because everyone would say they were Heinz 57, because they were like a bunch of mix, and we would like laugh that we're like, "Yeah, we're hella mixed, but we're all white, so we're mayonnaise."
Oh, that's funny.
We were like a different kind of condiment, and that was always our joke. So we would be like, "What's up, best foods?" when we walked by each other in the hallway. But then we had a really complicated relationship as adults. Like, when both of us went through a divorce and got new partners, it was very rocky in our family. But
Oh
what
yeah.
brought us back together was he got me a job at the casino, at his casino after I left
Oh
the
wow.
other
Yeah.
casino. And it kind of went back to that high school us versus them dynamic, which, like it brought back a better dynamic between us, and we were able
Mhm.
to do some healing and move forward from a really tumultuous time. But
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I'd asked about it in a session, because we have had highs and lows and everything in between.
But I wanted to touch on that eighth house Mercury, that it's really cool because it says that like, because like the thing with the eighth house is it rules like your deep, dark, and mysterious stuff. It rules shared resources, death and transformation, as well as your intimate relationships, right? It rules intimacy and like the depth of intimacy, not just like, because there's no such thing as surface level intimacy. The whole thing is it's an intimate exchange,
Mhm.
right? And the thing with people with like Mercury in the eighth house, I always say those people are the either people with hella Scorpio energy or even a Mercury in the eighth house. Like you're really good at researching stuff and diving to the core of something because the eighth house Mercury has a really penetrating mind and you're interested in research, secret codes, and clandestine communication, like channeling. And
Mhm.
looking after people in crisis might be a really good skill too. So it's like all of this screams this work you do,
Right.
and so that's why this client I just worked with, like she has a lot of these placements too. Like hers are stronger and but her lessons are different in this life, like because she has a seventh house south node, which means like you lost your identity in a relationship to the other, whether it be like you had to care for them, deep, like they got in an accident and suddenly became an invalid, so you had to take care of them,
Oh,
or they
mhm.
could have been controlling, like all the list is infinite of what it could be, right? But like with the North Node in the first house, it's like trying, like you could still, like she has aspects in her eighth house of relating to the other, but as long as she doesn't lose her identity in that, it's like writing that, that fine line. Like that's the theme of her chart. But also,
Mm.
like with all that Scorpio going on and like the trauma that she has, but also being able to work with others with trauma. Like I told her, I was like, girl, you got to get into quantum healing, like do it for yourself, but also you would be a really good practitioner. Like
Mm.
it's insane to me. But yeah, like when I was telling her some of this stuff, like the books that I was reading about one of her placements was like suggested psychotherapy, but I was like, no. Like I think modern psychology, and I'm sorry, like I studied psychology, I love it. But when you're trying to like heal deep-rooted trauma, that is not the way to go unless it happened in this life. If it didn't happen in this life, you need to go deeper than that. Otherwise, you're not going to figure it out. You're just going to touch on, I don't know, I just have this deep rooted belief that perhaps needs to change. I don't know, but I don't believe in that
I've
kind of therapy for that. I believe after, because I've gone through different types of therapy and it just medicates the problem. Like the best success I've ever had was working with you, and that's all I tell people, like because you just, in order to get the deepest, if you're carrying deep trauma, that go deep, okay, to find it. Like you have to go the deepest you can go. And how much deeper can you get than sit right in front of your higher self, That's what I feel.
Yeah, well, but the psychology foundation, I feel like, is really helpful because it helps. I feel like the psychology of the soul. And so certain traumas, we interpret those certain ways, right? And I'm finding that whether the trauma happened in this lifetime or last lifetime or 10 lifetimes ago, the results generally are still the same reaction as far as how the soul experiences it and how it's interpreted. For instance, the fear life for you has resulted in these fear-based fear underlying your whole entire life. That's a similar response, whether it happened in this lifetime or another lifetime. And so it's just really interesting. I think where this modern psychology is missing the mark is the fact that they don't acknowledge that some of these things come from beyond this lifetime. So especially like
that's the problem I
schizophrenia
have.
and stuff like that.
That's the problem that I have with it is a lot of it's just deeper. Like I love psychology, don't get me wrong. And I respect psychologists, or I don't know if that's the right term, but like practitioners that use like ketamine and shrooms, ayahuasca, like shit. Like I saw this ketamine treatment that this one chick did, and she was able to go deep into some of her trauma and get answers. And it was a quick, office visit kind of thing. And it's like people who use those modalities, that's when I'm like, okay, because they're using psychology and they're using healing medicine to access it. And because they're going to the source of the problem rather than just, okay, sitting with, with their legal pad out, taking notes on all the shit you talk about. Like what you're saying, like a lot of my reactions and this and that, like it's indicative of somebody who's gone through that trauma in this life, but I didn't. I had a normal childhood. Like I've had struggle, obviously everybody does, but not on that level. No,
Right. And so like a modern day psychologist would kind of excuse it and almost invalidate it because you didn't go through something in this life to explain that behavior, or that feeling, or that irrational fear.
They give you antidepressants and fucking Ritalin and shit like that.
I hate it so much. I get so angry. Some of my friends, sometimes I could tell when they're like, hesitant to tell me because I'm really like anti pharmaceutical. I really feel like if you just numb yourself, then the pain is there for a reason. The depression is there for a reason. The anxiety is there for a reason. It's because you need to work through this stuff. If you just numb it, then the catalyst for change, you're just removing the catalyst for change. Therefore, you're not going to seek out the healing and what you need to do so that to be rid of it. You're just going to cover it up and continue to live with it.
At this level, you're just staying stuck at a level.
You're just like accepting it. Yeah.
The whole point is to face it because it's what's holding you back. You need to face it and figure out why, if it's like basically literally, because I think half the reason why our quote healing ceremonies last time they didn't feel like they worked is because I was literally sitting in meditation. I was like, well, you were sitting with the elders and they straight up said shining light on it is the biggest thing. That's literally all it took is just shining a light on it and being made aware of it. That it's like, first
that
of all,
came to me too. Yeah,
because it's like it shows you that you're not a bad person, you're not at fault, you're not just having delusions, you're not this and that. It's like something traumatic happened to you which caused you to react this way, and this energy is not around. That's a whole thing. But anyway, it's just like shining light on it is literally the thing that makes it go away. And so it's like, if you go to the depth of it, then so I completely respect practitioners who understand, because psychology is an ever changing career. Like the mind is so complex. The brain is so fascinating, to study. And so it's like when you roll with the changes and the new, ways to treat people and what really actually works, it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I can't explain what I mean. Cause it's like, I've gone to psychologists that are really old, like really old and like really out of date and just, you know, think
Mhm.
like, oh, this she's a woman, she's just in psychosis. Oh, she just needs to calm
Yeah.
down. And it's just like like I don't that's why I kind of fucking just scrapped all that shit and just let my freak flag fly. Like I'm just gonna be crazy then. Like nobody can help me, so I'm just gonna be crazy. And like sorry to whoever's in my wake, but here we go. Here we are.
Yeah, for a long time I'm glad now that I have the psychology foundation that I do. I feel like it makes a massive
Oh
difference
yeah,
in my
me too.
ability to understand
Hmm.
people from their past lives and to be able to figure out the path that each person needs individually for the healing.
Well, it does. You
Um,
feel like you're in safer hands. Like I love that fact about you too. In fact, I tell people that too when I sell you your services to them. Like I'm like, this chick, she knows what she's doing. She's not just like, oh, here we go, la la la. Like she understands the brain, you know, and
yeah,
like
I
and
feel
the
like it was
trauma
a
and all
very
that.
yeah, like and now looking back, because I make jokes, I'm still paying on my fucking student loans. I graduated in 2008 from Humboldt State, like, and I used the knowledge in my daily life, and I always have. Like, it just changed how I interact with the world, and given me like a massive understanding of other people and why they are the way they are, but not realizing that that was the foundation that was going to make it so that I could build this house that I'm building right now, you know?
I know, isn't that funny? You have those moments in your life or things that you do that everything stems off of, and it's
Yeah,
like that branches out of, you know, it's really funny how the choices you make really like you think it's an insignificant, like, oh, okay, I think I'll just do this, or I think I'll do that. It's like, it's just such an instrumental cog in the wheel of your life, you know?
I would joke around about, oh yeah, I went to college, but I just decided just to keep dealing cards and not use it, like, yeah, I use it in my daily life, but I don't use it professionally.
Well, I mean,
And
look
then
at me.
like
I got
fast
a
forward to
bachelor's in
now.
audio production. Like, what am I going to do with that?
A podcast. No.
Well, exactly, because I was just gonna say that that degree I do not feel because everybody jokes about an art degree. Well, mine is a science degree, technically. It's a bachelor's of science.
Oh yeah, mine too.
And so yeah, so I'm like, I'm a little bit cooler, but anyway. But no, like that literally, that is not a waste, no, because I loved my job out of college. Like when I worked for PSAV, I fucking loved it. And I mean, I hate the corporation and all that bullshit, but the job itself, I fucking loved it. But like, I got art out of it. I know how to make music and like I know how to edit the podcast. Like it is not a wasted degree by any means. Like,
Yeah,
because I mean, because what I'm doing with my life, what the fuck am I going to get a degree in any of this shit to stand?
right.
You know, like, oh, get a degree in housekeeping, get a degree in art. Well, I actually do.
Well, and that goes
I
back
want to
to
get a
them.
master's in art therapy because I really want to do art therapy.
That kind of goes back to, you know, th our whole generation, they kind of pushed that in order to be of importance in the world,
Or
that we all had to go to
value. Yeah.
college and get all these student loans and all this stuff. But nowadays, I mean, like, I guess I do value it and I could still be doing this and it made a big difference. But, there's a lot of people who have wonderful lives and never had to go to college. And then it kind of makes me wonder, well, was some of that set up to like entrap us financially and,
Hmm.
stuff like
Yeah,
that
it
too.
was.
So, because yeah, I mean, like I said, I still owe hell on my student loans. So,
You know what? I don't want to tempt fate or anything, but like my college got sued, right? And I heard they lost. Okay. And I
okay, so
heard
who was it? Because didn't you say it was Phoenix?
no, I went to that school to
Oh,
study medical billing or some shit like that. But no, I
oh,
went to the Art Institute of San Diego, and they have them everywhere, by the way. But I went to the Art Institute of San Diego. And because they did some shady shit there, dude. They tried to get me to, because they like try to get you to take out all these extra loans. Like, especially they take advantage of the veterans who aren't 100% veterans, because I'm 90%, because I was only active duty for so long. I didn't fulfill my 4-year contract. I got out early when I got pregnant. And
oh,
so I didn't like, yeah, because they were like, you could either get out or you could stay in or you could join the reserves. And I'm like, and I was in a highly deployable job and I knew I was going to be a single mom. So I'm like, just, I'll get out. And I joined the reserves. And well, at first I was like, I just want to get out. They're like, well, you could choose your job. I was like, oh, really? So I chose, I was going to do like what the equivalent of a nurse, but you had to be gone forever with this tech school. And I didn't want to be away from Max that long. So I did medical admin because it was only an 8-week course, you know? And that actually, I got a really cool job in the civilian world based off of that. Like joining the military was the best decision I ever made. I got so many fucking jobs based just because I'm a veteran, you know? But anyway, I was a 90% eligible, right? So like, I still got my GI Bill, but there was one quarter where it didn't pay. And so I had, granted, it just tacked it on to my amount. So like I owe, because I still got loans, I still got a small loan and I was able to get the Pell Grant. So that helped. But like, I think I owe 54,000 in student loans. But I heard the fucking school got sued and they lost because they were trying to get people to take out loans when they didn't need them. Because I kept telling them my fucking veteran status and I kept arguing with them. In fact, one day I went outside. I was so fucking pissed after arguing with them because they were trying to make me take out a fucking loan. And I went out to the smoke area because I was trying to quit smoking. And I asked this guy, I was like, can I please have one of those? And he's like, yeah. And I literally was like so pissed. The ball in my throat was really like, I almost cried it out because my anger is attached to my tear ducts, you know? But yeah, that's how fucking pissed I was. And plus I was taking a math class that quarter. Don't ever take math class when you're trying to quit smoking because just quit smoking after you take math.
Right.
I was like, fuck all this shit. In fact, I came up with this comedy bit. I wish I recorded it or wrote it down, but I was talking about my bit is about how math is like a woman, you know, and I was talking about how there's like millions of ways to do the same fucking thing, but you have to call it all these different things, like long division, like you think everything's going right, you know, and you miss one fucking number right here and the whole equation is wrong, you know, like it was just the whole thing. I wish I wrote it down, but yeah, fuck trying to quit smoking when you're taking a math class. But anyway, god damn it, back to my point. So I heard that since they got sued, your loans are forgiven, right? So I haven't heard anything about my student loans and it's not on my credit report. Like my grandpa used to work for the Student Loan Fund of Idaho and he drilled in my head not to get student loans because not even death can get you out of that student loan. Like it defaults to your family, okay? And so I heard of and they track you down, like they know where you are at all times. I have been out of college now for 10 fucking years and I haven't heard anything about my student loans. Nothing. And I'm not going to ask because I feel like no news is good news. But yeah, it's not on my credit report either. So I guess it was forgiven. I really don't know.
Yeah,
but the caveat to that, but the fucked up part about all that is I moved when they sent me my degree because they mail it to you. And I was all like, I moved around 50 fucking times in San Diego, right? And I happened to move during one of those. So I never got my degree and now they don't exist. So I don't have a physical paper degree. Like I graduated, I have a degree, but I don't have my degree. And I can't ask about it. Yeah, I can't ask. I mean, I have pictures of me at graduation. I'll be like, here, there's my proof. But yeah, and I'm afraid to ask because what if like, oh yeah, by the way, you haven't paid anything yet? Like, because it's nice to slip through the cracks if you can, you know. And so far, since it's a quote art degree, thank God I don't need it. So I don't need it. Whatever.
Right.
Okay, so I have a funny story, all right? So like and this is also weird to me. Okay, so like I have my spiders in my windowsill, right? And every year I get one in my bathroom windowsill. And what's weird to me is every year it's the same kind of spider. Like how is that? Why is it another species of spider coming in my window? You know, like why isn't it a little one? It's always, and it's like the size. It's not quite as long as your thumb, but it's like a good size, like a segment and a half of your thumb. So it's a good size spider, right? And I try not to, because sometimes he'll just be, because it's like, it's the windows that open where you push it upward, so it opens vertically, right? And so it's just a little bathroom window. So where the window piece where you lock it, there's that crevice on the side. He lives there, right? And he builds his spider webs there, but I feel bad because it's still hot and muggy. So sometimes I have to open my window and I'm like, sorry, I'm ruining your house right now. And I did it a couple times. And finally, the other night, I go in my bathroom to go pee right before I went to bed, and he's out of his web, like facing me. And I was like, right there. And I'm like, oh God. I was like, hey, sorry about your house. I'm like, it's summertime. It's kind of hot, but I was kind of like, just the way his energy, it was just like, quit wrecking my work. Because like sometimes he'll just be sitting in there and he just has his legs poking out of that little crevice. I'm like, hey, Pete. By the way, I named him Pete. I'm like, I don't feel like your name is Frank. I was like, I'm gonna name you Pete. I was like, how are the kids, Pete? So that's the life of kids. But like he was straight up out of his spider web, like pissed off at me for wrecking it. And then like it's to the point where because like my toilet is right by the window, so like I have to like move past him to go pee in the middle of the night, and he's still out there. And I'm like, and so we're working through our fears right now, and so I'm like trying to talk to him, and I'm like, just stay there and we won't have any problems. Like, I'm not going to try to kill you. I'll move you outside, but you stay in the windowsill. I'll try not to wreck your work. We'll compromise. But like the last couple of nights when I have to go pee, I've gone into Max's bathroom because I'm like, I don't know if he's out of his web. I don't want to see him. Like it's so annoying. But like last night I was in this conundrum because is Pete out? Max is like, he needs to clean his bathroom. It smells like a teenage boy's bathroom. So it's like, where do I go pee? Do I face my peers or do I have to put my shirt over my nose to go into Max's bathroom? Oh man. But I want to, it's kind of weird to me that they're the same species of spider. Like, why does that same spider show up in my windowsill every year? That's so funny to me.
I had a frog in my windowsill the other night. It was so cute. And I just sat there and like talked to it for a minute. And it was like just looking at me and like immediately thought of the frog in Salem.
Oh yeah, that we got to, yeah. That's so funny.
But it didn't even like budge when I was like sitting there like talking to it, and I was like just acknowledging it and telling it was cute and stuff.
You know what's
And then I was
funny?
like, okay, I'll see you later. And I just left them in the windowsill. And it was like it was a tree frog, so he was like smooth, but he was really, really dark green instead of the bright tree, it wasn't like a bumpy frog. It was like he was pretty smooth looking. But he was like a good 2.5 inches long. Like he was big.
Oh wow, yeah.
I should have taken a picture of him. It was really cute.
That's really cool. That reminds me of this time. It was like after like weeks or maybe even a month after Chad died. Like I like this whole story, it's very personal and it's like a bomb that keeps exploding. It's a really dark story. I mean, when people take their life, obviously there's dark shit going on, whatever. But like it involved Max, and like I got the court papers in the mail of because Chad got Max removed from his care like like a day or two before he killed himself. And in fact, when I went there, they put me under the microscope too. Like it was such a fucking shit show. Like I fucking hate CPS. Like they don't. That's a whole other tangent. Okay, so like I get the court papers in the mail and I read why he got, I read all it. I was fucking pissed and I knew his soul was around me. I know about the astral, but I was so fucking angry. Like I pushed his energy away. I put a protective bubble around me and Max and was just like, just go the fuck away. Like, fuck you, go away. Because when he was alive, I told him, like, if you ever lay your hands on him, like your parental rights are revoked immediately. In fact, you got to deal with my brothers and then me, like it's actually me and then my brothers, but anyway, so needless to say, I was really fucking pissed. Right. So like I was, I had a friend that kind of brought me into my gifts, right? And I've said this before, like it's funny that you say like with channeling, how Bashar says you need someone to anchor you and pull the things out of you. That literally is how I started channeling. I was at my friend's house and I was telling her this vision and she was asking me questions of what I saw and pulling these out of me. And that's why I loved working with her, is because she was the anchor. And I never knew at the time that that's really how it works, but yeah, like that makes sense because that's what she was for me, right? And so when I was in college after he died, blah, 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 like she ended up moving to another city, or so I went to her house one night and we were hanging out and she was giving me a reading and she was talking to me, like Chad came through. And while she was talking, I saw this frog and it was probably about the size of your frog, how you described it. It was a larger one. It wasn't this little one. But it kept drawing my attention. And I kept looking at it because where I was sitting on the patio and the railing, like I wasn't scared of the frog, but I was watching it to see if I didn't want it to hop towards me. I could move if it was coming towards me because I didn't want it to jump on me. But I was just looking at this frog and I couldn't stop looking at it. And she was saying these things that Chad was saying. And she was saying, like, he was apologizing and explaining stuff, and at the end of it, she was like, that frog you're looking at, like, that's his energy. Like, he wanted to look you in the eyes and tell you that he's sorry, kind of thing. And so, yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. And so there was, I can't remember when, it was maybe 2 or 3 months later. I was at one of those machines where you can buy a sticker, you put in a couple quarters and it spits out a sticker, and I got a frog. And so I still to this day have that sticker. I haven't stuck it on anything. Or no, is it a tattoo? I think it was a tattoo, like a temporary tattoo. And I still have it. It's on my desk and it always, I don't know, but yeah, that's always reminded me of him,
Interesting. So he like gave you a symbol. That's cool. I love it whenever you get symbols from
Well, and you
departed
know
loved
what,
ones.
too, the thing that was special about that too, because he wanted to come through very strongly and talk to me about that, because mainly too is he's like, I don't want you carrying this hate around, like you could be angry and mad, but the level that I was angry and mad, he didn't want me to carry that. So he's like, and then him telling me all that stuff, I really did feel the weight of that release. And he was like, if you don't want me around, that's fine. I'll leave you guys alone and like go behind this, you know what I mean? Like move back his energy so I can't feel him. I mean, obviously he's going to watch us all the time, but he's like, if you don't want me around, that's fine. I can respect that, but I need you to know that I'm sorry, and blah, 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 blah. So
Right.
yeah, it was really cool. And it took me a minute, because like what he did to Max really pissed me off. Cause yeah, but like, I mean, that was nothing dark and twisty. You just hit him, it was kind of shitty, but like, yeah, that's that story.
Do you ever see frogs? Like, do you ever get feelings of him, or does he ever send you frogs, or are you more in tune with knowing when his energy is around that he doesn't need to use the symbols anymore?
Oh yeah, I'm way more in tune. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when I say funny shit or I do funny shit, like that's silly and nobody's around, I could feel a burst of his energy laughing. Like I love his smile and his laugh. Like he had the best laugh. He gave the best hugs too. Like I remember the last time I saw him alive, um, I flew Max to Montana, and because I was starting school back up again and my sitter wasn't available. And so Chad suggested the idea to have switch schedules where he has Max full time and I could focus on school and, I do the holidays and blah, 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 blah. And so we had to start that early. And then he died a few months into that. Like that's when he died. Like I flew Max up there in July and he died in October, but
Oh, wow.
but I was so like, after I forgave him and let that go, like I was so like the journey he brought me in to understand his suicide it was interesting. Because like when I found that channeling Eric page, I stumbled on his channeling sesh where he talked about when he killed himself, and he also used a gun. And I remember listening to that. I wanted to turn it off. Like it was very upsetting, but I felt hands on my shoulders. Like, it's okay. Like he wanted me to go into this, like go into it, and like, I was so depressed the next year. Like he brought me deep into a depression. Well, I mean, he wasn't the only one. It was obviously my dark night of the soul kind of thing. but I went as far as the method I would use to end my suffering, and I wrote this essay for Glamour magazine, like the winner gets $5,000 or whatever. And in my essay, I was talking about that, the people always say like who in their right mind would kill themselves, but you really have to look at listen to what you're saying, like who in their right mind. Like nobody in their right mind does. You're obviously in a state that you're so upside down and so deep in the dark that you can't see which way is up. So the only thing that seems the only answer is to let's just transition into a different dimension. Like the life that you were, that Aztec warrior, you weren't trying to kill yourself. You just didn't want to be in that dimension anymore.
Right.
You didn't want to be in that state anymore. And like you knew energetically what killing yourself does, but it was the better option,
Right.
And so when you do that, the only thing that anchors me to this world is my children, and that's another reason why I was angry at Chad is he got there first, and because in that but see, that's a whole part of our karma together. Because in that life with us where, I killed myself in that life and he was left with Max, so it's a whole story.
Yeah.
But yeah, like with him now, it's like I just feel his energy now. I could hear his voice sometimes. Like, yeah, him and my buddy Bentley from college, they're my go-to. They're the ones that I always like reminisce with or like work things through with. I mean, obviously I work with my other guides on that kind of shit, but like Bentley is like my Zen master. Like he worked with me in this life on dealing with my anger and all that shit, so naturally I go to him in the astral for that too.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
That's cool.
I wonder if there'll be a healing ceremony in the future that he works with me on, because most of my guides have already worked with me through my healing ceremonies, but I haven't really felt one from him yet. But
Maybe he's just kind of sitting back and watching.
No, he doesn't sit
support.
back and no, he definitely guides me through shit. Like sometimes, because I took my favorite post of his off of Instagram and I printed it out. I took a screenshot because I took a picture of him in the picture as well as the words that he said. And I have it because he talks about just being yourself and not letting all the little shit get to you, And like yesterday when I was in it and really pissed off at the universe about just, the hard things about getting divorced and like striking out on your own and trying to make your way on your own. Like I was really upset with all of sometimes I can't look at his picture because if I'm like not, because there's sometimes where I'll flip out about something and then I'll come in my room to like gain my center and I'll catch his picture. I'm like, yes, I know I failed, God, blah. Like I could definitely, he works overtime with me, I swear.
We also wanted to let you guys know that if you have any questions about what we talk about, if there's anything that you want to know about the universe, email us at thedeependpodcast2024@gmail.com.
Yeah, totally. We'll do our best to answer your questions and it'll be fun. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, listening to our podcast, and following us into the depths of the subconscious and the unknown.
Into the depths of your soul.
Come find me and book a reading on www.mutablemystic.com. Find me on Facebook at Mutable Mystic. You can find me on Instagram at mutable_mystic. Also, if you'd like to check out any of my music, you can find me on SoundCloud /stay STE_music.
And you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook under Quantum Healing with Steph Green, and book your own past life regression session, or you can send me a message on Facebook and we can talk about what you have in mind. And don't forget to like, follow, and share the Deep End Podcast on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in today.
Hell, we can bend your mind next time. Always remember to ground your feet in the dirt and enjoy life with those gratitude glasses on. Catch us on the Deep End.
The Deep End.
Welcome to the Deep End.
The Deep End.
The deep end, bro.
Yeah, brah, deep end.
Deep man.
Deep end.
deep end.